For a growing number of tourists, adventure has become the next destination. People are starting to look a long way from home for their holidays, some to Canada's north. A Prairie Airlines trying to take advantage of that, trying to make a profit marketing polar bears. And while the new tours are what's hot, it's the tried and true that makes Air Manitoba fly and makes the company money. The CBC's Sasha Petrusik with the story of the little airline that could.
Everyone knows Air Canada, the big airline with the sleek, shiny jets. Now meet Air Manitoba, the regional airline with the flying museum pieces. Its trademark is this cargo plane, the Curtiss C-46. Massive, noisy machines half a century old. Of their kind still flying in Canada. They're functional, not flashy, just like most everything Air Manitoba does. From flying people and things to remote northern communities, to taking tourists to the tundra to see polar bears. It's a tough little airline, and it survives by serving a tough place, the north. Its bread and butter is flying into a dozen communities which have no way of getting in or out except by plane. Everything comes by air, from Fruit Loops to mattresses piled high in the hangar.
You got your washers, dryers, stoves. The kind of thing the Eaton's truck would bring. That's right.
The job starts early every morning in Winnipeg. Work crews load a cargo plane nicknamed the Ancient Lady. And while they're struggling with a tractor engine, upstairs in the dispatch office, others are agonizing over the weather forecast.
Yeah, it looks like there's some freezing rain that went through the north as well.
Marcus Schnitka keeps a close eye on the unpredictable winter weather. The cargo planes are reliable unless there's too much ice or wind.
They can be a touchy airplane.
So the ground crew tackles the almost impossible challenge of de-icing the plane, piece by piece. Another aircraft doesn't need as much work. Most of it fits inside the hangar. It's one of Air Manitoba's passenger planes, half the age of the cargo carriers with a fresh coat of paint. Flight attendant Aline Sachin.
The age scares a lot of the people. But these aren't bad, like 1967, 1970, and they're well kept. They keep a good eye on everything.
They have to. The atmosphere is friendly, laid back as Flight 203 boards. But these are not easy routes, nor are they lucrative. Just ask Air Manitoba's president, Ken Biddle.
We're able to survive. It's not a great time for any airline.
But this year, Air Manitoba is adding something new. Since almost every northern flight is an adventure, it's selling adventure, a special set of charters to the Arctic tundra.
Our flying time to Churchill will be approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Working with an American tour company, the airline is offering package trips to see polar bears.
Our name is Bear. We're from Orlando, Florida.
The target, people looking for new experiences.
And last October, we flew to Rwanda and climbed the Virunga Mountains and stayed with the gorillas.
I like cold weather. I love snow. I had seen the National Geographic special on the polar bears. It seemed like the right thing to do.
We like the unusual type of trips.
And for adventurers, it doesn't matter that this isn't a fancy jet. In fact, even the autopilot has been taken out of the cockpit to make room for an extra heater. Pilot Walter Guaz says autopilots just make his job boring anyway.
Well, there's nothing to do. As I say, all they do is sit there and monitor things. And, we do that anyway, but we're still flying the airplane.
4 hours after taking off, Air Manitoba's other flight, the regularly scheduled one, is still dropping into remote communities, still dropping off passengers. Many of them are regular customers.
Bye. Need strong coffee.
Need strong coffee. You were sleeping all the way.
Some of the passengers use the flights for business, others to see doctors in Winnipeg.
They rely on us, absolutely, in some cases, for life and death situations. And that's a responsibility we have. We don't take it lightly. These people are our friends as well. I mean, they aren't just numbers and names on a piece of paper.
In Churchill, the polar bear adventurers are arriving.
But this is kind of a rickety thing, isn't it?
And before too long, they're boarding oversized buses known as tundra buggies, looking for bears.
The biggest rock just behind the...
Oh, there he is. Here we go. There we go.
They imagine that there are about 1,500 bears in this study area.
It's right there.
Oh yeah, look at him, looking at him, looking at him. Hello, lovely.
But cargo is still this airline's biggest moneymaker. And as more tourists arrive in Churchill, Air Manitoba is loading freight for a trip even farther north, to the Northwest Territories. The plane takes off with close to 8 tons of cargo on board. In all, Air Manitoba has 5 of these former World War II troop transports. It's the largest fleet left in North America, and it isn't always trouble-free. One night 2 years ago, an Air Manitoba cargo plane had to make an emergency landing in Winnipeg. One of the landing wheels wouldn't come down. Sparks flew as the huge wing scraped the runway. Today, that plane sits on the tarmac, still under repair. But pilot Dave Moore says he has no doubt about the C-46's reliability.
And that's why they're still flying now, is because they were built like a tank.
But to keep them flying, it doesn't just take careful maintenance, it also takes detective work.
These are landing gear side braces, exhaust systems.
Some parts haven't been made since the Second World War, and Tom Finney has to search the world to find them.
So you sort of phone a couple old guys there, and they'll stick you onto another guy, and the next thing you know, I know where every place, what every part is now.
The last cargo plane of the day empties its load. The Ancient Lady returns to base. This may be the Winnipeg runway, but it's also the road to the north. And for Air Manitoba, the road to survival. For News Magazine, this is Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And when we come back, what you said about what we showed.